Well, we're all back once again. We're all little homos on FOMC day today, just waiting for Jerome Powell to get on the board once again and tell us what the hell is going to happen to our magic internet coins alongside, real equities and real stocks. But forget all of that. We're going to be speaking about, of course, the magic internet money for today. And with the FOMC coming up, and I believe it's 3 hours from now, there are a few things to prepare for, but really today's analysis, today's video is going to come down to the major pivots on price that effectively confirm bullishness or bearishness for Bitcoin. Now, as we went over in the past couple of videos, I'm still biased generally towards a bounce for Bitcoin, before going below whatever November's low was. And that likely does include some higher prices at some point in December. So that's my personal bias as of right now. But of course, when it comes down to what price is actually going to do, I just want to be marking off some very, 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 very clear and actionable areas of execution that will confirm or deny Bitcoin's bullishness, or effectively confirm, I guess, some bearishness, or at least a move down, probably with a 7 handle on price action if it were to happen. And I suppose what better day for anything like that to happen on a day like today with FOMC, because of course that is a major catalyst for price action as Bitcoin more or less just, consolidates in this very, very, I would say, boring manner. But it is, you do have to kind of expect consolidations, of course. And while all of this is going on, of course, traditional markets are more or less around all-time highs. Bitcoin, not so much, unfortunately. But, I still think that it does have a chance for a December rally here. The question is what happens after that December rally, because unless if Bitcoin, again, gets back above that $107,500 lower high that we saw from the 10th of November, I am still more or less skeptical upon the continuation of this bull market. But hey, that is my line in the sand. And if the December rally can get above that pivot at some point, I'm going to turn into fucking crown runs with bulls, because that's going to be very, very exciting. And I do think that that would be confirmation that the 4-year cycle is indeed over. But until then, we still have a lot of technical signals that have been consistent with the end of cycles. We still have a lot of, a lot of timing signals as well. I mean, if you do believe in the 4-year cycle, I do think that it's very valid to look at the October high as the high for this cycle. I think that that's a very, very valid position to be taking. It's a position that I'm not necessarily willing to fully commit to myself as of right now. But again, I'm looking at this from the lens of an option trader as of the moment. So I'll bring back up my options positions right here. Again, just been looking at, let's go to the strategy builder right here. Just been looking at selling the 80-70 put spread, in which, we're doing pretty well on this one as long as Bitcoin's above 80,000 bucks, going to make 29,300 by the end of December, or December 26th, Elsa's birthday, baby. But what I'm really looking forward to is that on this next rally, is there going to be a chance to sell a call spread on the other side? And so that's the next sort of position that I'm looking at as of right now. But for right now, just holding this, letting time work for me, letting time decay. And as long as time just continues to chew up, more and more time, I guess, using a bad analogy there. But as long as time just continues churning with Bitcoin above 80,000 bucks, that position is very, very healthy and going to produce the maximum profit of 29,300, which I'm rather happy about. So other than that, it's just a waiting game. And I mean, Bitcoin, consolidating sideways here for me is great. But I am looking for that next position. So if we do get that rally, that's kind of what I'm looking at still. But ultimately, I suspect that a lot of the sort of directional buys will be either confirmed or denied today. And if Bitcoin does hit my bearish pivot, then I will very likely need to take action on that position, because I do believe that my $80,000 strike is going to be, in the money, and then I don't want to be fucking short those puts now, do I? So fair enough. Anyways, with Bitcoin hanging out here at 92,000 bucks, that does give me a lot of time to make an action. It's not going to happen all in like one minute dildo, but if there ever was a day where the price action going to start to scream a bit, well, I do think that it is today. Again, Bitcoin's been, in the same range since when? Since November 16th. So nearly a month here, nearly a month of no meaningful moves on price action in terms of, breaking a range or anything like this. So I do think that today is kind of like the pressure cooker has fully engorged itself and is ready to explode. So, a lot of the time these sort of formations do get their resolution on a day like today. It's just that catalyst that is like the final nail in the coffin, the final straw in the needle, or the needle in the haystack, or whatever the fucking saying is, to actually cause some busting or busting down action. Anyways, I'm gonna finish off the rest of this caffeine. Elsa's gotten us some new coffee cups. Hey, this one's already, oh no, that's my coffee drip coming into this one. I found actually a pretty good cold brew here. It's not as good as the one that I had in Tampa, but it's also, this one's decent enough. It's good enough. Anyways. Oh, it's beautiful, man. It's fucking beautiful. I saw someone earlier asking about the Blacked 20 coupon code for Black Friday. Yeah, the Black Friday sale is indeed over. There is some speculation that if you do email Elsa, you can usually get something set up for you if you were indeed late, but that's completely up to Elsa. Sometimes she's a fucking military sergeant who will say absolutely no. Sometimes she's feeling in a good mood and she will say yes. It's up to her though. That is her prerogative, actually. Sometimes Elsa's in a really bad mood. If she deals with people who just, who just don't listen, that can be definitely a standoff point. Anyways, I'm just going to read some of these comments here because there's actually some pretty interesting comments. I saw someone earlier saying, "Hey, retards, is it up or down?" And that was interesting, also very aggressive, but fair enough. Anyways, let me see what we got going on over here. Harlex Mogg says, "Is this a bear flag crown?" You can look at it as two separate things. It's like Schrodinger's pattern if you want to be a pattern bro right now. On one hand, yeah, you do have the makings of an ascending triangle. And I do think that the case for this being an ascending triangle is actually stronger because you got the same highs going on since November 18th, 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and you got rise and lows right here. And if you do want to look at this as bearish, then yeah, you want to go to the daily. I mean, that is, I guess you can make the argument that this is a rising wedge right here. But of course, the way to confirm or deny these patterns is basically the resolution points on either side. And that's really what any pattern comes down to anyways. And all patterns come down to effectively trend. So if you learn trend, you will undoubtedly understand every pattern without actually understanding every pattern. That's why I don't necessarily focus on patterns myself. Yes, you can get somewhat of a probabilistic bias as to which side it's likely to break out of, but ultimately it just matters which side actually executes. So in this case, if we're looking at that $94,000 or $93,800 number on the index, that is still the confirmation number on a closing basis to confirm price action to the upside. And of course, to the downside, based off of this past, let me actually go to spot price action. This one's a little bit more obvious here. If we go off this past Sunday's low, that is your last higher low. So coming back down below that prior higher low, which is also the price action pivot here at 784 on the index, that would be my confirmation of this. Well, I guess playing out as you did acknowledge a bear flag or a rising wedge, basically. And at that point, Bitcoin is very likely to come back down to 80,000, maybe even below there, or actually very likely below there, to be honest. But still, I would be giving the nod to the bulls here until proven otherwise, just because when I do see 1, 2, 3 higher lows with same highs, that is going to be biased towards an upside resolution. Doesn't mean it's guaranteed. It's just a little bit of a higher probability, and that's also in alignment with several other setups that we have been looking at over the past week and a half now. So I do think that does have a higher probability in the short and medium term. And just in general, December makes more sense for a rally attempt. Anyways, go check out some traditional marks over here. When moon serves. Also see people asking about gaming streams. I'm very much looking forward to gaming streams. There's one last thing that I'm waiting for. Oh, I'm waiting just for a game to play, honestly. Mr. Van Duysen has awared me that the new Lord of the Rings mod for Total War is going to be available on the 12th. That would be a pretty damn good one for me. But until then, say what? Elsa says play Red Dead Redemption. We could play that. I don't know. I feel like one playthrough is probably good on that. Been played on my PS5 though recently, which is actually pretty fun. But other than that, I don't even know what the good games are recently. But it is pretty fun to kind of just pass time playing some games and watching charts at the same time. It's like, might as well do something in the meantime. What's up, Tom Crown? How you doing, man? It's my brother, Tom Crown. We're brothers from a different mother, and today is a day. Chair pow! Chair fucking pow. That's right. That's fucking right. Chair pow. This is exactly what I imagine every time he gets on the microphone. It's like this, man. It's just that just playing constantly in the background. And look, it's not racist when it comes on as a soundboard, because I'm not saying it, okay? That was a certified black person saying that word, not me, okay? I'm just playing a song similar to how you would on YouTube. There's no difference at all whatsoever. So when you hear Chair Powell coming on the board later today announcing whatever FOMC rate's going to be happening, that's what should be playing in your fucking mind, baby. That's what should be playing in your mind. If you like good horror games, what kind of good horror games? They scare me too much. But I will say, Half-Life Alyx in VR, maybe the best gaming experience of all time. But I don't know if that's necessarily a horror game. But it was, I was shitting my pants the first time one of those face huggers came at me. Didn't like that, man. Didn't like that at all. Play Arc Raiders with me? What even is this? I keep on hearing this name. I don't know. What's your sort of time zone? Or I know your time zone, Tom. But what time do you actually play? That would be the real question. My schedule is packed, but it's never packed enough for some good old Crown action. Anyways, Tom Crown is a child of Tom Lee and Crown's father. Yes, that's how it works. If you have the first name, say what? My dad's gonna love that. Yeah, he's probably listening to the stream right now. He's like, "What the fuck? What the fuck did I just hear?" Yeah, DM me, man. I haven't been on Twitter in a while, so it's actually like been kind of difficult to reach me, but I'll keep an eye out for that a little bit later, man. Arc Raiders, if you're looking for an insane game. Yeah, a lot of people suggesting this one. I guess that's the new hot game on the block. I'm still loving Dark Souls 3. It's the best game of all time. Anyways, let's go over and check out some traditional markets here. Ultimately, NASDAQ still playing in a very, very tight range. Again, my sort of analysis on NASDAQ and SPY is just unchanged for the week here. As long as we're above last week's low, I look at this as overall good, but I suspect we are going to get clarity on the situation upon the FOMC meeting later today. If you do see it come back down below last week's low, okay, I'm looking for a corrective move, at least down to 24,500, and then maybe even this could break down to a much lower low at some point. But for right there, that would amount to very likely a very quick pullback at the least to that number. And same thing on SPY futures here as well. Just last week's low, really, really good pivot. But I'm just bullish as long as you're above last week's low. I think that's a really easy sort of line in the sand to be mindful of that. Hey, as long as things are above there, it is just an upwards market, and we do have our next higher low, and it's very, very beautiful. And we shouldn't really be overthinking such things. What? Yeah, we have a gardener. Did you not know that? It's like the first time we've had a gardener. Amazing. Anyways. All Tom Crown lore is true. That's right, man. BMNR is your little baby. Unfortunately, not doing too well right there. But, what happened here? Oh, they got rid of CEP. So I guess 21 is legit now. Fair enough. Fair enough. I wonder how. Let's actually see. Is it on TradingView? God, how do you do? Is it XXII or is it XXI? 21 Capital. Yeah, there we go. Let's see how this one's going to open up. Oh no, it just commandeered the CEP chart and took over their name. Yeah, typically these sort of IPO events are going to be a liquidity event, meaning that founders cash the fuck out, take their money and run. So I don't know, man. I probably wouldn't be running to get into position on something like this just yet, but perhaps at some point could make sense. Then again, I don't necessarily think I understand the whole value offer of the, of these Bitcoin treasury companies. But then again, it's not my job to understand that. You guys can have the fucking gains on that one. I still think if you want the corns, it's probably just best to buy the corns instead of going through an intermediary like that. But hey, fair enough. More power to you if you disagree with that. Anyways, looking at Tesla, still overall bullish here. Again, I really like that November low for the next higher low. It's kind of similar to the NASDAQ and SPY charts right there. Just last week's low as well. Kind of good for a short-term pivot as well. What else do we have? What about other markets? What is Hang Seng Index doing? Consolidating sideways. This one does look like a local high right there, ready for a pullback, but not necessarily bearish, just ready for a pullback, I suppose. What else do we have? What about 10-year? See what the 10-year rates are looking like. Looking like a higher low to me. But again, it's a long month left to go. But if there ever was a great place for a higher low, that would be it. So maybe that's a good indication of what will happen today. Then again, I mean, this is going to be a fundamentally based move, to be fair, and just it's kind of difficult to forecast that, but that's what the market thinks right now, at least. I mean, they are kind of forecasting, I guess, a higher low here, so that should go. I mean, I would imagine it does go up, carries on with the overall trend. What else do we have? Maybe Coinbase, maybe IBIT. Check out these guys, see if there's any sort of secret hidden signals over here before we get some Bitcoin price action. Coinbase, I mean, I guess, if you do want to play the game of higher lows, 255 does make sense on the monthly, but absolutely must dig in its heels here and reverse. Otherwise, I think you got a real reversal to the downside. Let's see what the quarterly looks like. Yeah, that's not great. Not going to lie, that's not great. What about a 6-month time frame? Not terrible, but not great either. Not really conclusive in any direction, and the yearly time frame inconclusive as of this moment as well. So, no, I can't really make much out of these. I don't know. There's got to be something that's obvious here. The obvious thing is that the uptrend still does remain, but that is very much contingent upon this one's ability to hold above about 245 to 250. See what IBIT's doing. Sometimes you see some secret hidden signals in IBIT as well that can help up with some buys for Bitcoin spot. You know, I mean, technically, yeah, you still got an uptrend right here, but goddamn, man, absolutely must dig in his heels at $48. Otherwise, hopium is just that, hopium. And this one, I think, is a little more obvious here on the underlying formation that's been in the process for the past 3.5 to 4 weeks now. Look, as long as you're below this price action pivot, which is the high of the 3rd of December on Wednesday, I think last week, last week, one Wednesday ago at 53.17, you know, can't really have an upside breakout. And similar to Bitcoin spot, you know, it would be last Friday's low of about $50.04 as a downside pivot. So whichever one of these gets taken out first on a daily closing basis is going to be your next big direction. And in this case, you know, to the upside, I mean, that's going to put Bitcoin at the very deep 90s, maybe even low 100s. To the downside, I think that does create slightly new lows, something like that. But again, all of these things, all these questions, I suspect, are going to be answered over the next 24 hours between the FOMC and then what really happens usually is that the FOMC kind of sits in like the initial sort of major reaction, that very volatile sort of spike up and spike down. And then Thursday is the day where you get the real direction that kind of emerges from that. So that's typically how it does go. So we're just kind of waiting around, to be honest with you, until that does happen. And that's not happening for another, 2.5 hours. I think Mr. Tom Crown, my man, Mr. Tom Crown, going to be over there. And he'll very likely be live during that time. He is the man to go to during the FOMC. He's got the official FOMC stream. Fucking love it, man. And what's up, Sam Fragnosi? Good to see you, man. You're calling out gold right now. What's going on with gold? Let's see, 4,200. You know, I've still been looking for a pullback from this number into a higher low at like 4,100. It's looking, I mean, it's pretty firm up there right now. Maybe I'm wrong in this. Maybe that's about as big of a pullback we're going to get. You know, 41.69, great number right there. But personally, I would have liked to have seen a pullback a little bit lower. Still overall bullish, still a higher low down to like 4,100. But I don't know, maybe this thing's stronger than what I, thought. But ultimately, again, this one probably going to go off of the FOMC as well. So, you know, I wouldn't be too surprised to see a quick spike to the downside at 4,100 and then rally from there. That'd actually be, you know, kind of picture perfect to fulfill that, that test that I'd be looking for. And then, of course, Dixie is always something to be concerned with on a day like today. And ultimately, Dixie does look to be putting in a lower high at about $100. $100,500. Sorry. Oh my God. $100,500. $100,500, not 100,500. Holy shit, I am redacted as well. I fully admit this. I fully know I am actually a retard. I understand this. You don't need to tell me, but I have severe dyslexia and also I can barely read. Anyways, yeah, so in this case, just based off of this chart, I would be looking for this one to actually come to the downside. So that should help out Bitcoin, I'd imagine, as well. Not always. It hasn't played like that super well in recent times, but, you know, if we're looking for reasons, that could potentially be on the side of the boo laws right there. And then, of course, tether dominance right here. You know, this one did take out last week's low. It is not closed below last week's low, which is my very specific reversal condition. And so far still above the red 5 and the 200 simple moving average right there. So, you know, I need to see it below those numbers to call a fake out reversal to the downside. Until then, this is still a consolidation on what is the range highs. So that is more likely to break to the upside than the downside. But again, all of these things I think kind of take second place or the backseat to today's event. That's going to be the major catalyst. And from there, we should get resolution. And that will help basically just, you know, kind of, I guess, find the next floating direction, the next trending direction for Bitcoin, you know, until like, you know, mid/early January, something like that, man. So anyways, I'm going to take a few more sips of this. We haven't really gone through the full Bitcoin analysis. I'll do that in just a moment here. Trapaholics, yes indeed, sir. Yes indeed. Crown got me listening to 666 Mafia now. Yeah, man, they're my absolute favorites. And it's not even them. It's Juicy J. Juicy J is 36 Mafia. He is 36 Mafia. Holy shit, man. Those early tracks are fucking fire, especially when they were doing like the horrorcore type stuff. Only the true nerds are gonna know what the hell I'm talking about. But that was like very, very unique back in the day, man. I fucking love that. I still love it, man. I still fucking love it. And Trump said to buy stocks. Hey, he has a good record with that. I mean, shit, he told you to buy. He told us to buy the exact lows in April of this year. Amazing, amazing foresight from the president. But but we'll see if he can, if lightning strikes twice, or I guess, I mean, at the end of the day, like he is, he probably does know a little bit more than you and I would imagine, at least I would hope. But yeah, man. This might help out. Whenever I think I'm a retard, I just take a look around and observe the people around me. All of a sudden, I'm perfectly fine. We are all perfectly retarded as well. I know, man. I know it's true. It is absolutely true. We are all retarded. We are all retarded and gay. That is exactly why we are a part of the cave, the gayest cave out there in the world. The song they did with Lord Infamous was, yeah, Lord. Oh my God. Wow. That's a blast from the past right there, man. Hey, what's up, Fibbo Swanee? Good to see you, man. Good to see you as always. Yeah, FOMC, fuck over my capital. Yeah, exactly, man. Sometimes it helps my capital, though, I will say. A lot of the time, it actually does tend to help my capital. But I do like to complain about things nonetheless. Anyways, I'm battling with all of the wires by my feet right now, so hopefully I don't hit over something that's actually important. But anyways, go through some Bitcoin price action analysis. There are still some things that do play technically today. As far as daily price action statistics do go, we did actually see yesterday, once again, just like the day before and the day before that, play off both sides of the historical price action statistics range. Which did provide, some scalping opportunities. On today, we do see, has a low been tested? Not necessarily. That would be 91,180. If you do see that number hit intraday, I would be looking for a bounce at the first pass. And of course, to the upside, it's going to be kind of difficult to play these on a day like today because things can move very, very quickly and very volatilely, but there probably is still a small edge there. If you do see it hit up towards the top side of the average returns range high at 95,100, I would be looking for maybe a very, very small pullback at the first pass, but I would not get greedy with these sort of plays on a day like today. On a day like today, you can get run over. You can absolutely get run over by price if you look for these small scalps on a day that is most likely to actually break a nearly month-long range. So, you play that game at your peril. Same thing with the price action pivots indicator. If you're going to scalp based off of that today, I would say certainly do not get greedy. And if anything, just look at the higher term timeframes. Those are the ones that do play out incredibly well and gives you plenty of time. The lower term timeframes, these are the days, these are the times where you can get run over trying to scalp those relatively small moves. Anyways, moving on from there, I do just want to get into like a super simple analysis of Bitcoin. Then we'll go into like biases and whatnot. But as far as Bitcoin goes, the lower term time frame formation here is still the same. And I do think that this formation is actually very relevant for today, even though sometimes I kind of hate on patterns, not because patterns are bad, just because I believe that all patterns can be boiled down to trend. And if you understand trend, you don't need to learn these fucking silly names. But in this case, the way to resolve the last month's consolidation is basically any sort of a closure above 93,800 does resolve it to the upside and does imply a target into the low 100s with, probably some small stops along the way. By contrast to the downside, I'd be using the price action pivot low here from Sunday's low at 87,784 as a major pivot that if closed below, I would be expecting Bitcoin to retest the lows of November and probably create new lows from there into a 7 handle. Now, I do want to state my bias is still on a short-term rally, a short-term / medium-term rally in December. It just doesn't make sense to me that if Bitcoin is indeed going to be bearish, that it breaks down in December. I think that would be more likely a January or maybe even February thing. But for right now, whichever one of these sides gets taken out first, again, on a closing basis, is the side that I'm going to gravitate towards and favor. But as of right now, like I said, I am biased towards upside for a few other reasons. We'll get into them in just a moment here. In fact, let's just go over it right now. So first would be, first and probably least important, but it does matter, is daily stochastic momentum. This one continues to see upside pressure as long as Bitcoin's closed above 90,300. And by the way, now it's back into the bullish control zone for the first time since basically October of this year, when of course Bitcoin did make its prior all-time high, or its current all-time high, I should say. The two-day time frame is also showing fresh upside price action, fresh upside buys as long as Bitcoin's above 88,000 bucks. That one's closing tomorrow. I just realized that my YouTube reset over there, but should be okay. The 3-day time frame is also going to have a fresh cross the upside, pending tonight's closure, or actually continuing up and regaining the critical zone back into normality somewhat. If Bitcoin can finish today above 83,100, I think that's probably fine. Barring some sort of I guess a rate hike might take that out perhaps. And then of course the 5-day time frame is going to have its first fresh cross the upside in over 6 months since April of this year. Wait, 7 months. I think spot price action has already done it. Yeah, and this one closes tomorrow, so that should solidify it. This pivot is at 83,900. The CME pivot is at 90,400 almost. And then of course we got I think the 8-day time frame. That one is still down. What about on spot? Spot does close tonight, and $93,000 is that pivoted price action. All other higher term timeframes though are still positioned to the downside, and in a bad way in my opinion, which is why I do think that whatever rally we see kind of emerge from this region, I personally will be viewing it with skepticism. And if I see anything resembling a rejection around the $100,000 strike level, I will be selling some call spreads. They will be out of the money obviously, but that would be my signal for the next sort of options position to be taken. Until then, I'm open to Bitcoin reversing on a rally. It's just it needs to exceed 107.5. If it doesn't do that, if it gets rejected below that on a lower high, I look at that as confirmation of a bull trap, just because of all the other higher term time frame signals that we've seen that I won't go over in this particular video. Other than that, what else do we have? Yeah, we have a few other setups as well. We got the MACD over here. The MACD also showing upside pressure on price action. And I do want to call out that the HPDR setup is still very much active here as well. The HPDR setup, let's go to the 5-day time frame on this one. The HPDR setup still favors upside price action versus a closure below the November lows. Again, that does mean that we could get a wick below the November lows, just don't want to see closures below there. But ultimately, I don't think that that's going to happen in that way. If it's going to happen at all, it's going to happen with a revisiting of the median relatively soon. We'll see the 5-day time frame close tomorrow night, and when it does, that median will adjust again significantly to the downside. I do expect it should very likely be below $100,000 or at least at $100,000, and that still is going to be a general magnet, a general area of interest for this bounce again, instead of closing below the November lows. But as it stands right now, we're still seeing volatility contract. We're still seeing the HPDR representing directional volatility tick to the upside. So this is really, really good for a corrective move here. And again, my general target is always going to be on these, a revisiting of the median, which will again adjust downwards on tomorrow night's closure. So that can come down. It might come down a lot, might come down not a lot, but it almost undoubtedly will be coming down. So I just keep a keen eye on that, because that is going to always be a major, major area of interest for whatever bounce that we do get here. And it doesn't really imply bullishness or bearishness, just saying, hey, don't be expecting any sort of significant downside move until at minimum we do reconnect with that. And then on top of that, we do have a potential for this setup here as well. This one requires basically a closure above 92,650. But if we do see that red 4 EMA cross the upside of the yellow 21 EMA, the minimum corrective target, so not even again minimum, just like it at least gets here, is going to be the green moving average, the 55 EMA, which is 97,600. So again, that does kind of give us a range of of price to be interested in, between about 97.5 all the way up to like 103.5, something like that. Assuming that this one does confirm. But again, we don't have this cross happening just yet. I've spoken about this cross for the past week. It has not been confirmed just yet. To be very specifically clear, according to Caretaker's reverse moving average crossover levels, Bitcoin must finish today above 92,600 in order to force this cross. And then, yeah, that green moving average becomes a legitimate target. And again, this is not a great setup to be playing. It's really good for YouTube directional bias. We use it both to the upside and the downside. In the case of the downside, it's actually a little bit better. But even in the case of the upside, it does well enough to provide an edge here. So if we do get that cross, again, it would just highlight the likelihood that we are going to see that bounce to the upside first before anything else. And it should be a pretty decent bounce as well. But yeah, we've seen this play out many times throughout the history of Bitcoin. Again, it's not a great setup to play to actually like make money off of. It's not going to be a good trading setup, but it does do pretty damn well, I will say, at telling you that, hey, it's time to be looking for a corrective movement, and a corrective movement within the current context of the daily downtrend is an upside move. So again, I do think that helps with the short and medium term buys here. Anyways, other than that, there's one other chart I'll point you towards that I think does hold hold a lot of validity here. However, it's, as always, just not going to be as important as Bitcoin's chart. And again, Bitcoin's pivots, I think, are so like demonstrably clear as of this moment that, you know, probably just better off on focus on that. But if you do want to look at something else, it'd be the tether dominance chart, which I do think is interesting here because there is a real potential for a failure on this breakout play, but it is not happening just yet. You did see, I think it was yesterday, this thing actually did come back down below last week's low, but we need to see it close really below there, or close at least below that 200 simple. So as of right now, it's still using these major moving averages to kind of base off of. So I look at this as, you know, a consolidation around the highs, which generally does lead towards continuation. So that would be bullish for tether dominance, bearish for Bitcoin generally. But hey, it got really, really close to that yesterday. If you do see it come back down below that number and again, close below that number, at that point, yes, I do think that you have a real objective swing failure pattern here. And this thing will come down hard after that. And that would align probably with the Bitcoin, just, I guess, Bitcoin bull market, or at least like another major try to the upside. So I am open-minded toward these, towards this. It's just, you know, I want to see these objective signals fire off first personally, but hey, you're free to do what the fuck you want to do. That's what I'm looking at for today. Let's go look at some shit coins, which I believe is what most people probably want to do. So let's see indeed. I'll scroll up to the top of the chats. Elsa's already got them aligned for me, which is beautiful. And I see XRP is first from Mr. Pizza. Just one moment while I take a sip of this nice, massive, girthy BBC. Beautiful. Tom Crown says, God, I hope we get a tether dominance failure. Yeah, I mean, if that does happen, that would be pretty big. We should also look at stablecoin dominance just in general. Here's why I haven't been using this chart. It's because for whatever reason, they reset the history every so often. So unfortunately, there's no longer all of the past history. But this is the chart that includes both tether dominance and all stable coins, so USDC and all of the other, you know, ones as well. So this one should be more accurate, but unfortunately, I think they only have like a 5 or 6 month long running data feed on this one in comparison to tether dominance, which does include the full history. So yeah, I wish they included the full data. I don't know why they reset it every so often. It's very annoying because that chart is theoretically a lot more valuable or a lot more accurate, I would say. Anyways, let's go look at XRP for Pizza. I'm sure it's doing something completely new today. XRP over here, let's go down to a daily, or you're looking at a daily, a three month and a monthly. I mean, it's still in a downtrend, still pretty ugly, to be honest with you, man. If Bitcoin is showing some promise, this thing is kind of doing the opposite, because Bitcoin has higher lows. This thing doesn't really. I mean, it's still following the lower high trajectory, but in order to confirm this one on a reversal with probably some pretty good upside price action, I would still be looking at about 245 to 250 if this were to happen. I just need to see this thing close back above your November 23rd high of about 2.25. If you see something like that, I do look at this as a medium-term reversal with, you know, what is that going to be? Like another 10 to 20% move to the upside. I mean, that would be pretty significant. But until then, you know, lower high, lower high, lower high. I mean, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 off of the, you know, initial break. I mean, that's not necessarily a good thing, man. And if you do come back down and close below last Sunday's low, similar to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin would probably be doing the same thing simultaneously, which is about $2. At that point, you know, I would have to be looking for a big move down to about 180 again, at least 180 again. But as it stands right now, I'm still more inclined to look at this current price action as likely to try one more rally up to the $2.40 to $2.50 number. You know, weekly time frame has a very small, but I guess present amount of bullish divergence here. It's not usually good enough to like reverse an overall trend, but should be good enough for a bounce. So I do remain a little bit more biased towards a bounce, mostly based off what Bitcoin's doing rather than this thing. But you know, if Bitcoin shows any weakness intraday here, just be aware, below $2, big fucking problems on this thing, big fucking problems. Quarterly time frame, I'm not really getting much from this. You know, there was bearish divergence on it, but you can definitely say that that move's already played out with the move down or the wick down to the yellow 21 EMA. So I don't see anything that's super obvious here. And this was, you know, a 61.5% move to the downside. You can definitely say that that's already played out. So I wouldn't make any further analysis on that. You know, I'm a lot more inclined to call for a bounce off these regions rather than continuation of new lows, especially below 180, that is. So yeah. Anyways, moving on from there, we got retarded quant Okay, I feel the same way. Silver long term, sir. We gonna see a night? Are is it we gonna see or are we gonna see a 1980 type run to the upper 90% HPDR bands? Well, let's look at it. Last I looked at it, or the last like half year I've been looking at it, looked pretty good, honestly. Still looks pretty good. Yeah, I'm not gonna hate anything that's at new all-time highs, basically. So is this thing just going to go for a 1980 type run? I don't know about that, but I do think that this run is not done. I think that you got new all-time highs coming in Q1 of this, of this coming year, 2026. I do think you can generally follow these price action pivot trendline extensions towards areas of interest for the next quarter and the quarter after that. That's going to be like mid and deep 60s. I just generally think that this thing will continue to float to the upside. You're naturally going to get pullbacks along the way, but you just had a pretty significant pullback right here, and it ate that up nearly instantaneously and marched up to new all-time highs. That was a 16.5% pullback almost over 2 weeks. Marches right back up to new highs. Like for me, this thing is in trending mode right now. So just get out of the way of it. Let it do what it's going to do. It's closed on new all-time highs. It's a breakout. It's a breakout, and this thing wants to go higher overall. If you get pullbacks, it's just going to be lower term time frame stuff. I would not be in any way, shape, or form bearish on this thing for the love of God, as long as you're above, especially like $50 at this point, which is pretty significant. The yearly time frame, I think, is also very conclusive here, barring a catastrophic move back down below like $50 before end of year. I just don't see how I'm not going to be bullish on this thing in 2026 for new all-time highs at the very least at some point. Retarded Quant has come back and he says, please box Alex Becker. Fair enough. Actually, I did speak with him on Twitter a couple of years ago about potentially setting up a match, and I think he at some point just kind of didn't want to or just lost interest or whatever. I think he's also interested in like a different fight style. He's not interested in boxing. He's interested in I don't know what is, probably jujitsu. I mean, that's what all these fucking people are obsessed with nowadays. It's the hot thing. It's the hot thing, of course. But yeah, man. If he's down, I'm down, especially if we're around the same weight. But yeah, can't force him to do, can't force anyone to do that. In fact, it's actually like quite difficult to get a match, especially with someone who's like a comparable creator. Although obviously Alex Becker has a significantly greater audience than my own channel. But finding someone even in the vicinity, it's pretty difficult because you got to find someone like that, which is rare. And then also they have to want to fight and then learn how to fight, which takes time. It's unfortunately very difficult to do. Anyways, go with Boris says, GM, what are the chances for a 50% basis point cut today? I don't fucking know, man. I can ask Grok, but I don't fucking know. There's no way for me to forecast that, man. I will put $100 on it at Polar Market. Probably Polar Market has a market for that. So whatever they're forecasting is going to be closest to the real numbers. I have no way of forecasting that, man. You're basically just trying to guess what the Lizard Council, the Shadow Council of the world's going to do. We have absolutely no edge in that case. I don't know. I have no idea, as does no one else, unless you're literally a part of the FOMC or very related or very closely related to these people, because I'm sure that they tell their close relatives as well. I mean, is it really going to be that much of a secret, to their best friends? Obviously not. But for me, I'm not their friend, unfortunately. Unfortunately, they probably don't even know who I am or my name or anything about me at all. Thus, I have no idea, sir. So I would not fool myself by trying to give you an answer to that question, because I have absolutely no way of knowing. Anyways, Aaron is back. What's up, man? Ethereum Bitcoin bounced from the 200 EMA. I'm guessing you mean on the daily. Do you see good signs? I don't know. Oh, you mean the 200 simple right here? Yeah, it did bounce pretty well from that. Yeah, I do think, so last time we looked at this, look, overall, I think that this thing is pretty garbage, pretty ugly, but I do think that you have a greater rally here. It's always bothered me on Ethereum Bitcoin that it has not retested that green 55 EMA. I think that you will get that test at some point, not this month, but in probably early 2026, if I had to guess. And that's probably going to align with the August high. So let's just call it like mid 4,000 Satoshis. I do think that you get that move. That's where I'd really be looking for on a realistic rejection to send this thing back down to the gutter. But for right now, yeah, I do share your short-term and medium-term optimism. I do think that it goes higher from here, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I think that you at least come back up to these highs, probably probably even exceed those highs by a little bit. But that's the point where I'd be like, okay, this is kind of where I expect things to turn down again. So yeah, but hey, there's probably a trade to be had there. I mean, shit, there's 20% move, something like that, maybe even a little bit more. So yeah, do I see it as a good sign? I see it as a good sign for the short and medium term. And again, it's just really bothered me that it's not retested that number. So I'd really be looking for that to happen. So yeah, anyways, Great White Hype says, GM Crown, what's up, man? Serve stock on the daily, weekly. Okay, we got some real stock analysis here. Serve, SERV, Serve Robotics. Nice. Sounds like something that I'm interested in. But as far as the charts goes, not so much interested in this chart. Good narrative, but bad chart. Or it's not that it's a bad chart. It's just not the best chart. There's so much better ones out there in the world existing. It depends what time frame you're on. You're on a daily and a weekly. Okay, so let's go back to the weekly. I think that you can't, I don't like that it's been sideways during a time that this narrative has been going pretty strong. I mean, it's basically been unchanged since July of 2024. That's not a good sign. It's not going to be one of the big winners. But, if you really want to play it, I'd be using the November lows as a pivot point, meaning that as long as you're above there, I guess, bullish. But I just don't think it's a big winner. The big winners have already moved because they are big winners. That's what makes them a big winner, is that they move first. This thing is not a big player in this sector, it looks like. But I guess, I'd have a bullish bias as long as you're above that November low. But I just don't think it's that interesting of a name, that interesting of a stock personally. Anyways, you're looking at RB stock as well. Is that like Arby's? Do you know what Arby's is? Does anyone here know what? Do any non-Americans know what Arby's is? What's up, caretaker? How you doing, ma'am? Very healthy ideation. Yeah, right. RB, ARBE. This is another robotics one. Let's see. Maybe this one has a better chart. No, in fact, significantly worse. And if anything, again, during a time where this narrative is strong, this thing is in a monumental downtrend. That's not good. I mean, shit, man, fucking flush that goddamn thing out. Go back to the gutter, you fuck. Look, man, another lower high on the monthly time frame, right at the yellow 21 EM. I mean, this to me wants to go down. You might get rallies in between on the shorter term timeframes. I don't know how relevant that is to you, but I do expect this thing to retest your April lows and probably make new lows sometime in 2026. I don't think this is a good one, or at least I wouldn't be betting on this one, man. This is the perfect place for it to put in the next macro lower high at 288 or whatever it is. It's not good, man. The big winners are already winning. The losers are continuing to lose. At some point, maybe the losers do get a pop, but do you really want to play that game, or would you rather just jump on a winner that's winning and going to continue to win? And anyways, Aaron says, Arc Raiders, if you're looking for an insane game, what is it all about? What is this all about, sir? I want to get back into Dark Souls 3. I fucking love Dark Souls 3. Oh my god, it's the best. Dark Souls 3, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and Total War Medieval 2. Best games of all time. Best fucking games of all time. Probably missing a few there. Sekiro is amazing as well. Anyways, Trick Shots 7188 says SCCO is the ticker, Copper Miner. It's amazing that this channel is now slowly gravitating towards traditional marks. I love it, man, because I'm doing the same thing myself. Really good compared to especially the last couple charts we just looked at. This one is undoubtedly amazing. In fact, that's where I give it the yes N. The yes N. Ultimately, new all-time highs are bound here. I think you're going to make new all-time highs into 2026 as well. You didn't give me a time frame for this one, but I'm guessing higher term time frames. The weekly looks like it wants to lift off into new highs like this week, honestly. And similar to NASDAQ, similar to SPY futures, as long as you're above last week's low, I think this is a breakout in motion right now. Now, if you do take out last week's low of 133 and a quarter, then yeah, I do look for this one to come back down to the range low, but I wouldn't necessarily be bearish on it. I look at this as good, man. This is good. The higher term time frame that it goes, the better that it looks. You're going to get short-term pullbacks along the way, but this thing is still in trending breakout motion. So I guess the metals are doing well. They continue to do well. And you're saying, by the way, buy Tesla. I already do have a position in Tesla. I'm in Tesla from well under $300, and I'm happy to just hold right here. I don't want to buy any more as of the moment. But hey, you do you, man. If you want to buy more, I don't hate it as it is, as an investment decision. You have a very easy management point at the November lows at 385. As long as you're above there, just let it float up and to the right. Again, consolidation at the high, generally a good thing, man. Anyways, you're also looking at Drone Shield for a friend. I told him not to take that risk. Okay. My friend. Yes, my friend. Dro. Okay. Oh, this is an Australian shitcoin. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, probably not going to be great. Look, I think that you are finding a low here, and it is going to be a swing low, and it probably does rally up pretty big, north of $3 again. But I just don't like it as a chart overall. I don't think it's. I think that this one's topped out for a very long time. I mean, look at the quarterly. That is almost undoubtedly going to be a major quarterly swing high. So while I do think it's going to rally, I think that that's going to be effectively a bull trap, and then it gets rejected somewhere in like the low threes and then comes down again. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But yeah, short term is very likely to rally. He's going to get super excited. It's like your general popcorn rally for a shitcoin, right? You get super excited on the bounce after a monumental downside move. And then what happens after that? Well, it tops out on a lower high and then comes down again. Because when I look at the quarterly, when I look at the yearly, I mean, with a wick that big, not great, man. Not great. Rich in H says, first Ghost of Tsushima, if you haven't played it. I've heard good things about that, but I've also heard that it's like, I want a challenging game. And I heard that it's not like very challenging, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong because I do love samurai. Look, I even got a katana, a real working katana. Okay. I keep it right by my bed. It's my daily self-defense. I used it just the other night because I will tell you why. All right. We just had a washer and dryer installed. Amazing. What was not amazing is they installed it improperly. Not fucking good. What happened that night was my water softener went through a cycle at 2 fucking a.m., which, in case you didn't know, is really fucking loud, and water started gushing out of the standpipe in the that is connected to the washer. And because it was improperly put in, the washer water thing and the standpipe are competing for the same very small hole. Very small hole. Not good. Not good to have a small hole when you have two big pipes coming in through. And then water started flooding. Amazing. Fucking amazing. At 2 a.m. Crown us to wake up. Crown us to go to the washing machine and figure out what the hell is going on. I thought that there were people in my house. It was so loud. It was so fucking loud. So yes, so that's why I was patrolling my house with the katana for about 10 minutes until I realized, oh, it's actually not a motorcycle gang in my garage. It's my water softener going through a cycle, which is hilariously loud. Anyways, I want to say also massive thank you, massive appreciation for all the people who have been suggesting guns and gun information. Caretaker even sent me down this fucking YouTube rabbit hole of like gun tubers. Oh my God, man. I can already see like I'm going to get swept up in this shit if I'm not careful. I don't want to become like a total gun fucking head, but it is fun. I totally get it. I appreciate the emails. There's a lot of people who reached out that way as well. And then also the YouTube comments. I really do take my time to read those because I do understand that a lot of people here actually have a lot of real expertise with that. And also in the Discord as well. So massive thank you for that. I'm actually just waiting for, I have to get a new license here and then I can go apparently buy a gun. So that would be great. Then I can put aside my katana ways and use my hood Glock, something like that. Anyways, we got Tacos and Bear. He says HBM stonk daily and weekly. Sure, man. HBM, Hud Bay Minerals. Yeah, minerals seem to be good right now too. And I do own some rare earths myself. Not this one, but I do. Well, let's go further out. Look, I do think you are going to pull back relatively soon, but I also think that this is a very strong chart that will break out again to the upside. But coming back into this prior high from 2010, it's got a little bit more ways to go, somewhere between like 18 to $20 officially, but I would be looking for a pullback around that region and a consolidation, and then very likely to try to new to an actual breakout towards the prior high. So I do think it's overall good. I just think that you're going to come into a consolidation relatively soon because this has been a pretty explosive move that hasn't had any major pullback since April. So overall, this is good. I just think that your current move is probably going to find a short-term sort of settling point for a while. Anyways, a little bit more water for my throat. No need to apologize to Elsa, actually. Elsa's pretty excited to get her own gun, man. Once I told her you can get a pink Glock and bedazzle it, she's in. She's like, how do I learn? Can we go to the shooting range to shoot? I need to learn. It's fucking great, man. I mean, you do kind of sound like Bert. Do you sound like Bert? Yeah, you sound like this guy right here. Yeah, amazing, of course. That's really him. Anyways. Pew View, you have to watch him. That's the guy. That's the guy to go to. Do you have a basement that flooded? No, it's not a basement. It was just a what's it called? A laundry room downstairs. It wasn't anything crazy though. I took care of it really, really quickly. That's why you need a 1911 crown. Yeah, I actually would love to get a 1911. I just love that fucking, oh man, that gun is just the most classic American gun in my opinion. A gamer gun. Great White Hype is back. He's looking at HSAI. I'm guessing this is AI. Maybe not. Let's see. I don't think it's that interesting of a chart overall, but I do think you got some short-term upside, probably back up to like 22 3/4. You know, can you run with the assumption that this is going to be your next higher low? I guess it's an obvious risk management point at, 14.5 bucks. So as long as you're above there, I guess it's okay. But I don't look at this as like an obviously bullish chart. I just think that short term, you do have some more in this rally. And if you come back down below that low, I would get bearish. But until then, I guess you can kind of be bullish on it. It's an obvious pivot point. But I just don't like these quarterly charts that take out the last quarter low. Has happened before, but generally I want to be looking for a sideways consolidation at the very least when I see something like that, man. How about Netflix stock? We can look at that, sure. NFLX on NAS, and yeah, big swing high right here, big fucking swing high. So I think that this thing has a lot of downside into 2026. I do think that you will see a move somewhere around the low 70s at some point. There's going to be bounces along the way. Obviously, it's not going to be a straight shot down, but I think that this thing does want to come down. My LARP line over here is anticipating a bounce relatively soon. I do still agree with that, but I just don't think it's going to be a bounce that reverses to new all-time highs. I think it's going to be a bounce that pops up to like low 100s, maybe 105 to 110 at most, and then it comes down again because the quarterly here is pretty ugly. What about the yearly? Yeah, yearly looks like I mean, this wants to consolidate lower in my opinion. So it's been an amazing run, no doubt about that. But despite a kind of short / medium term bounce likely incoming over the next month or two, I do think that this one will settle lower. And consolidate down there. Saves going to the gym. Yeah, there you go. There you go. 300 blackout AR. Yeah, man. My brother-in-law's brother is trying to sell me on like full-on fucking automatic rifles. I'm not gonna lie. It looks really cool. I really want one. It's great, man. Bitcoiner 21 mil says the chat should probably apologize to the mods multiple times during the stream. That's why we have the best mods, man. The best mods, the most patient mods. They've been around for so long, man. Biff the Bull says, what if Steve Schickman got liquidated from buying doggy so much? I hope he just wasn't doing it on leverage, because yeah, then you do have a real pain point there. But if you do it on spot, I mean, still, it's just not ever going to be like a great investment, but at least you're not going to like lose your fucking livelihood doing it that way. I still think you bounce off this number as well. I mean, it's just hard for me to see a break below the 200 simple without one more bounce at least. I mean, it might even hold there as well. I mean, these things hold more often than they break, obviously. So I just don't like getting bearish into those numbers. But yeah. Anyways, let's see what else we have over here. Nicey LAC. Okay, LAC. Let's check out this one. Just going through the regular comments right now, by the way. Lithium. Okay, so another metals type thing, I think, or just rare earth, something like that. Not a big fan of this chart, man. Not a big fan of this chart. I do think that you are in a consolidation range. I just think it's kind of a dead investment for a long time. I think that you're consolidating between the highs at 786 and the lows at 2.25 or so. You just rejected the highs, so you're probably going to spend some time maybe doing something like this. Might rally back one more time back up to like $6.5, but I do think it comes back down to the range low. So not great there. I mean, there are better things in my opinion abound. What's up, Mr. McDonald's house? Yeah, we can look at Palantir. Again, full disclosure, I do own this one. Even got a chance to buy. Wow, amazing. And this thing's charging back up apparently too. I was looking for some sideways here, bounce into sideways. Still kind of the same thing. I think you're about at the range high at 190 almost now. Does it break above that range high today or not? I don't know, but I do think that this one continues on with the overall general bull market. This is just an insane chart right here. Very, very beautiful, very amazing, very impressive. All higher term time frames good. I do think that this one has new all-time highs in 2026 to go. Is it going to make new all-time highs in December this year? I don't know about that, but still holding the higher lows as long as you're above basically the November low of what is it, 148, 150? Look, this is really good, man. So I'm continuing to hold my position here. I just would be expecting, you know, something resembling some sideways in this range here. I mean, I kind of drew it out on the LARP lines here already, but something like that, and then try for a real breakout later on. I would imagine that happens in 2026, like early. But yeah, overall, really good. I just think that, you know, about 190 is where I'd be expecting this current move to maybe pull back a little bit, consolidate lower. But yeah. Crown, do these streams take a lot out of you? I can't imagine having to talk for so long. Not really, man. I go to the gym after this, to be honest with you, man. I used to stream 5 days a week, twice a day for 3 hours long. And somehow, some way, I just didn't get tired. I don't know what I was thinking. Like, I was enjoying it so much. Like, I would wake up, do a 3 hour long stream, go to the gym, and then after the gym, I'd go to this all you can eat sushi buffet and stay there for like 2 hours. 2 hours eating everything. In hindsight, it makes a lot of sense. And that re-energized me because, you know, I wasn't just eating the sushis. I was eating like all of the fucking, what's it called? The sweet and sour pork shit. So that was just like giving me, you know, energy of the gods. I was having the energy of a 3-year-old at that point. And then I'd come back on a little bit later in the day for another 3 hour long live stream. I don't know what it was, man. I had no problem doing that. I did kind of burn out after like a year and a half. And then I was like, okay, shit, I'm not enjoying this so much anymore. So that's when I kind of stopped live streaming for a while. But recently, when I've started to do this 3 days a week of live streaming, then 2 days of just regular video uploads, I don't know, man. I really look forward to the live streams. So no, I don't get tired at all. I mean, 2 hours typically goes by pretty damn quickly, especially if I have a little bit of caffeine. I mean, things are all good, man. So no problem. Did they cancel you the buffet? No, but I think it's also because they just didn't know how to speak English. So that's probably the issue there. That was in Helsinki, by the way. So yeah, they're not really ones to say, hey, can you stop eating all of our, hey, you stop eating all of our food. But I was like the traditional fucking American there, just like piling up mounds of food on my plate and then going back to my seat, watching charts and eating at the same time, just being a complete fucking degenerate. It is what it is, man. It's not my proudest moment, but I enjoyed it at the time, man. I really did. All right, what else we got over here? Team ground beef. Yeah, man. Ground beef for forever. I still eat ground beef, man. It's the best. It's the fucking, like, I could eat steak every day for whatever reason. 85%, 15% fat ground beef. It tastes amazing. I don't know what it is. I really don't know what it is. You want to look at Ethereum versus the dollar? I mean, we can. Yeah, I'm still kind of looking at a bounce likely to go a little bit higher here. I don't know when I drew this out. I think this was last week or maybe the week before that. You know, we've gotten most of this bounce already. I guess if you do want to be super bearish, this area does make sense for a lower high, but I'm not that guy right now. I do think that this one does try higher somewhere around here. And to be fair, Ethereum actually looking a little bit better than Bitcoin on the daily. 5-day time frame, yeah, I still think that you got a little more on this rally. You got hidden bullish divergence on the 5-day time frame. I think that this rally actually could go up significantly towards 3,800 or maybe even 4,000 bucks again. Yeah, weekly time frame also has hidden bullish divergence too. I think next move is continuation to the upside for Ethereum. I think it's going to break above the daily high here, or at least get there, and then probably does break. You know, higher term time frames not as enticing here, but yeah, the other time frames, I do think that this one does have a little bit more on this rally. And hey, if the quarterly finishes back above 3,500, I would look at that as actually kind of good coming into 2026. You know, we played out the corrective targeted moves to the downside, so I guess upside is, I mean, it's not that crazy to be looking for from here. So yeah, I'm definitely open to it. All good, JCG. All good, man. Have a great day. When people barely speak English and make street food, it's about to taste great most times. Indeed, it does. Indeed, it did. It was actually really good. It's probably some of the best sushi I've had. Team Animal-Based Carnivore, LFG, yo-yos. What does yo-yos stand for? Who knows, man? Who knows? Anyways, what is this new vernacular from the kids? What else we got over here? Let's see. They'll hit you with a broom in America. Yeah, I mean, in most states, you can just kill someone if they come onto your property. I mean, that's the way that it really should be. In fucking Finland, if someone comes into your property, you you can't do anything. You're supposed to just let them steal all your stuff because
You can't defend yourself. It's
yeah,
kind of like the jail.
right. You can't. Elsa just clarified. You can't defend yourself. Otherwise, you will go to jail for assault. Amazing. And you wonder why. You wonder why people were trying to break into our fucking apartment nearly every goddamn night. Amazing. Fucking amazing, man. Yeah, happiest place on earth. Anyway, happiest place on earth for fucking crackheads who don't face any real consequences for their decisions. Anyways, if you do algorithmic trading and what... Okay, hold on. LP Philosopher says, if you do algorithmic trading, and what point do you or did you differentiate between a strat not working anymore versus expected drawdown of it? Yeah, so super simple here. Let me actually just go with an example for the quantum wave bands because this one is going to illustrate it quite well. So what I like to do is I like to look at the equity curve long term, and I like to pick out the most relevant higher low that we saw on that equity curve. And as long as the equity curve did not violate that higher low, then I'm still good with that strategy continuing onwards and forwards. Hold on, let's blow this up. There we go. So where is the most recent higher low for this? The most recent higher low the most relevant higher low for this would be this low right here from the 26th of this year, August 26th of this year. So as long as it's above there, I look at this strategy as still valid and still viable. And right now it actually is putting in a higher low, and it just had a couple of big wins. In fact, yeah, just big one right here. Could have been bigger. I mean, did miss about $4,000 off the high. Again, that's why I look at this strategy as like, treat it as like an alert to, to pay attention. But I mean, just even blindly following this has been okay. I mean, better than okay. I mean, shit, most people can't trade that well, with an equity curve like that. I mean, yeah. Anyways, and then it opened another trade at 90,200 and closed that at 92,900 almost. So yeah, not bad. Just kind of clawing back those gains. So, as long as I see those higher lows on the equity curve, I'm completely fine with that. If I do see it take out that low though, then I would say either reduce the amount of equity that is given towards this strategy or completely stop it. Because that would be my first major indication. Hey, this is not operating as we should expect. So yeah. Anyways, one moment. Can we chart your YouTube views on the monthly? I can show you my YouTube. Analytics. We haven't done that in a while. It's just it's not going to be very helpful because it's just been on such like a nasty downtrend recently, or not even recently, just for like the past couple of years, really. But yeah, we can go over here. You guys can see exactly how much money I make from YouTube. As you can see, 3,969, great number. Also very poor. Also barely above the poverty line. Yeah, to all the people who are like, he's just doing this for YouTube money. Yeah, oh sure, totally, man. Anyways, if we go to the last 365 days. It's been on a steady downtrend for the last year, as you can see. For the last year, about a year ago, it's closer to like 35 to 40,000 views per day. Now it's down to about under 13,000. So that's a pretty big drop off. I don't know how much these metrics matter anymore, but if we go to like, let's go to lifetime. The lifetime, you can see that, the views that I'm getting on my channel right now are comparable to what I was getting in September, or like even lower than September or January of 2021. Kind of interesting right there. So yeah, I mean, it's a bear market for my channel for sure. But hey, like I said, I'll continue to do these videos daily because like, one, I don't have anything better to do, and two, I like it. Like, it's fun. It's really, really fun. And keeps me honest with my own self as well because, I'm putting out my analysis to the world. So I want it to be good. I want it to be good, or at least consistent. Anyways, 14 minutes of SAS says, yeah, and the crime rate is much higher in the US. You can defend yourself in any part of the EU. You just can't blow people's heads off at the flop of a hat. That is actually not true, sir. I can assure you that if you harm anyone in any way who trespasses on your property in Finland and probably many other European countries as well, you will face criminal consequences, actually. So I don't think either you don't live there or you're just repeating some silliness that you heard that made you feel good, but is unfortunately incorrect. I actually have personal experience of living there, sir. Anyways, yeah, obviously you have a disagreement politically, which means that you're just going to take the other side and just only accept information from the other side. But I can assure you, you are actually incorrect because I've lived there and I've seen it firsthand myself. Anyways, Yeah, you can't even defend your property in the EU in general, or at least in most of the Western EU countries. So yeah. But yeah, I understand that people like, if you're on the left side of the political spectrum, you're just going to disagree with any statement like that. Just as if you're on the right side of the political spectrum, you're going to disagree with anything, on the other side. Like, it's unfortunate, man. But that's why I hate politics. It all sucks. It all sucks because people just get brought up into these gangs. They didn't even really choose the gang. It's usually because their parents were on that side of the gang, so they taught their kids to be like that, and then they get socialized in school to also be like that, and you never probably even really deeply thought about it. And that's not a dig at you. That's just most people. Most people don't have the fucking time to do that, man. Anyways, would it be best to de-risk before FOMC? That is my general disposition. I don't like holding especially short or medium term positions into an event like today. Because why? Because we don't have an edge. We don't know what they're going to decide. It is a complete, you can listen to all the fucking fundamental experts, right? The fundamental experts who will come up with these wildly amazing theories of this and that and who gives a fuck. But at the end of the day, they don't know because they can't know because they are literally speculating. At least when we look at price, we can come up with objective areas of interest. But at the end of the day, we can't forecast exactly what's going to happen. We just can forecast what sort of instances would confirm the high probability of XYZ dominoes happening after that. That's the way that I look at real analysis. So the fundamental stuff, it always sounds good. It makes me think, oh, wow, this person really knows what they're talking about. But you can't do it unless if you're literally on the FOMC, like you're a literal board member yourself. You're not going to know. It's going to be massive amounts of speculation. Anyways, let's see. All right, what else we going to? Oh God, people now have to fucking argue this. Jesus Christ, like get a life. Anyways. JM says, in Portugal, even the police can't use their service weapon without facing major consequences. Yeah, I've heard and seen a lot about this as well. And we've seen a lot of cases in Finland too, where police would, go after a criminal, and then the police, because they injured the criminal, who was like literally doing real assault, the police faces consequences. It's just insane, man. It's just totally insane. Yeah, I don't see I don't see any reason to defend this sort of shit. It's just ridiculous. It's like you have real consequences for the law-abiding people, but very limited consequences for the non-law abiding people. It's just fuck that. It's just ridiculous. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. You can't have a working society with that. I mean, it's the same issue in San Francisco, right? Where you have basically no consequences for like what are considered petty criminals, or just people breaking into your fucking car or stealing shit from a store. But of course, the people who are actually contributing to the economy there, they face real consequences for, I don't know, parking their car on the wrong side of the road or whatever. I don't even know. Anyways. Sequoia says, I'm feeling like it's a good idea to just de-risk until it does. Yeah, exactly. Look, the thing is that the best trades in my experience from FOMC day are some really, really easy trades because you are not in a position when the actual event happens, but after the event happens, let's say Bitcoin did come down to, $75,000 or $74,000. I'm not saying it's going to, but just as an example, let's say you didn't have a position going into FOMC. I think that's a great idea, by the way. That gives you the optionality to take a very easy position if a nice opportunity presents itself. So if FOMC comes out later today and they say, no, we're actually going to raise rates by 50 basis points, they're probably not going to do that. But just again, example, and then Bitcoin price comes down to like $75,000. Now you have the optionality to actually take a position there. And in my opinion, that's going to be a really fucking, easy scalp at the very, very least. So yeah. Anyways, all right. Aaron's back. He says, Crown, in general, what should happen to stablecoins chart direction in very long term? I would imagine it's generally going to continue with an uptrend because stablecoin adoption is just going up over time. That makes a lot of sense to me. And a lot of people think that the real innovation of the crypto space is actually stablecoins rather than Bitcoin. I don't agree with that statement, but I understand what they mean. And the point is that, much more people have a reason to adopt a stablecoin than they do to adopt a Bitcoin. So yeah, I would expect it to continue to go up over time with general higher lows, but there should be ebbs and flows based upon the sort of market cycle pertaining to Bitcoin. That's my take on that, man. Crown, you have a dead pixel in the center of your stream, just so you know. Really? I can't tell. Maybe it's just your screen. Who knows? ARVR? No, I didn't. ARVR. Oh, sorry, ARWR. Okay. For some reason, Elsa says W as V. What did you say? Yeah, it's not V, it's W. Anyways, learn some American. As far as this thing goes, I like the rally here. I just think that because you are getting to these prior highs from 2021, you're very likely going to pull back very soon. The rally might not be over long term because you do have a quarterly higher low here. So this might very well be a real reversal. But in the short term, I do expect this thing to kind of trade sideways and down. You do have bearish divergence on the daily time frame. I do think that you're in for a consolidation to the downside, you know, close to 60 bucks, maybe even like a little bit below 60 bucks. But after that, I look for maybe one more shot to those prior highs in 2021. So yeah, short term pullback consolidation, medium term probably one more try up here, and then figure out if the reversal is real. If the reversal is real, you're going to see this thing back above obviously the 2021 highs, and that completes it with the higher low that you saw from what was it, April of this year. So potential right there, but you know, it's a long road ahead, of course. It's a long road ahead. Play Arc Raiders already. It's the funnest. All right, fair enough. A lot of people seem to love this one. Is it like a Fortnite? That's kind of the vibe that I get from it. It's like a Fortnite or something, which I'm not a big fan of Fortnite. What's up, Asti? Good morning to you. Nelly LOL says, good morning. What's up, man? I made it for the live stream today. Hell yes. All good, man. All good. Stablecoin is nothing compared to our corn. I mean, look, like I'm drinking the orange juice at this point. But I understand that the average person is not going to view it like that way. The average person, understandably, has more of a need for a stablecoin than they do for Bitcoin. Like, think about it. If you're some random dude in Zimbabwe experiencing insane amounts of inflation, it's going to be an easier transfer to go to like a dollar stablecoin than it is to go to Bitcoin, because Bitcoin's also somewhat volatile. So the dollar in comparison to them in their eyes is going to be like, oh, well, that's more stable. I'd rather go with that, you know, because I'm risk averse, blah, 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 blah. I understand that. That's a preference thing. But, you know, if you're an investor, I think Bitcoin obviously makes a lot more sense. Stablecoins just has a bigger market because, you know, I mean, what's the biggest market in the whole fucking world? It's the bond market. I mean, that's the biggest, or I think it is at least. I'd actually have to double check that statement. It might not be true, but I do think it is the bond market. So fair enough. You know, I can see that there's more just intrinsic demand for, or sorry, inherent demand for that. Trade Smart Crypto says, CRM on the monthly. Okay, we haven't looked at this one in a long time. I completely forget what the chart looks like. You know, it really did have a chance to, if it was going to break down, I feel like that would have happened this month. And instead of breaking down, it rallied. So I think that you might have your next higher low in here. You got hidden bullish divergence on this last low. I mean, it just needs to finish this month here or higher above 260. But yeah, that is there. The quarterlies putting in a low at the 21 EMA. Okay, that's fine. I'd give it a chance, honestly, to dig in here and try for some sideways and up. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. You'll know because this thing has come back down below about 247, 248 region. But until then, I'd actually be looking at this thing as, okay, give it a chance to rally. I mean, this is kind of where you should be expecting a higher low if it's going to continue with the long-term uptrend. So that's what I'd be saying about that. Yearly time frame, less confidence inducing, I guess, but also not a whole hell of a lot of history there. So yeah, I'd give it a chance to rally from here. I think that your next move is to the upside, to be honest with you. I changed my mind below again about 48 bucks, but until then, I mean, or sorry, 248, which are well above. But yeah. Peter Law says, hey, Mr. Crown, what's up, man? Hope you're well as well. Would you please have a look at Elio Shitcoin Super on the weekly and monthly? Sure. Last we looked at this, and for the many months prior, I've not been a big fan of this thing. Again, Elliot's a great friend. Really love Elliot, but I'm always going to give you a full opinion on any chart, despite whether I'm a friend with the creator or not. Yeah, I mean, for me, the big tell was back in September. You know, we saw this one actually happen live, and I said, this is, you know, don't get caught up in this. This is bearish. So does this thing have a rally here? It might have a little bit more on this rally. I could see this rally getting back up to like 38 or maybe even 40 cents, but this is a downtrend, man. I think this thing's more likely after that to come back down to the 2023 lows than it is to have any meaningful rally north of, you know, 60 or 65 cents for that matter. So while I do think short term, yeah, probably does try a little bit higher. The long term, I really don't like, man. You know, when I look at the quarterly, this is just objectively not good. I mean, could I change my mind on this? I guess if the quarterly, by some act of God, finished above about 60 cents by the end of this month, I guess, but I just don't think that that's very likely, man. That's more than a 2x move from where you're at right now. So while that would be my condition, I just don't think that's going to happen here. Here's your yearly chart as well. It's just not great, man. So yeah, unfortunately, while I do think that there is more on this short-term rally, I don't think this is a reversal to new uptrend. I mean, this is not good in terms of charting. Anyways, let's see. She is technically not wrong if she called it double V. Yeah, I know. The Europeans called it double V. I know. I'm just being an ignorant American. It's all good. It's all good. Anyways, Great White Hype's looking at Riven or Rivane, R-I-V-N, Rivane. I see these things everywhere, man. They have a cool looking truck actually too. It's like, I think it's a lot more cool looking than the Cybertruck. As far as charts go, I still think that this one, that this thing is going to try higher. Next sort of area of interest is going to be about $19 or so. Maybe a short-term pullback there, but I really think that this thing actually is putting in a reversal here and probably works its way up to like low 20s, you know, $22, maybe even 24. Yes, it technically hasn't reversed yet, but I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4 higher lows on the monthly, that's significant in my opinion. So I think that it will pull through just based off of that. And I think that at some point you get back up to that gap, which is about $23. So that's my personal take. I'll be wrong in this thing and I'd be happy to be bearish if you do come back down below, not last week's low, but the November 17th low. At that point I get bearish, but until then I kind of have a bullish bias on this thing. So fair enough. Let's see. Yeah, all good, Peter. All good, man. Arc Raiders is 100 times better than Fortnite and is an extraction game. What is extraction game? I literally have no, like, I'm so out of the loop with games, man. Look, I love video games. Don't get me wrong. Like, again, favorite video games, fucking Dark Souls 3, the best, the fucking best, the best. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Great game as well. Amazing. Love it. But I guess I just haven't kept up with like the recent multiplayer stuff. I don't know, man. I can just get sucked in that shit so easily. You know, I probably lost like 2 years of my life playing World of Warcraft in high school. I have a very severely addictive personality, and it does not serve me well in these instances, unfortunately. Cryptos and extraction games. Goddamn right about that, man. I mean, all of these things are extraction games, aren't they? Aren't they all? SMR, New Scale. It's pretty interesting to see like the amount of traditional market requests versus crypto requests is at an all-time high. The ratio, at least. Not a humongous fan of this thing here. I do think that you might have one more rally to like 28 or $29, but I think that this thing's also topped out for a while. So while I do think the rally probably occurs maybe early 2026, I don't think it's going to be a reversal to all-time highs. I think that this thing has put in a major high here at $39 for a very long time. So I don't know, maybe something like this, you know, rallies up and then comes down significantly, something like that. I don't have a ton of faith in this thing, but should try one more rally, you know, I think. Don't try heroin then. Yeah, I've somehow skirted my way around that. Yeah, man. Forex anyway. We can look at Forex. I'm happy to look at Forex. It's not like it's not my expertise or nothing like that, but I can definitely look at it. Today will be an interesting day to look at Forex with, of course, the FOMC coming up later today. Gemini I see is coming down. I'm still waiting for Gemini to come below $10, but I actually would like to have a position in Gemini long term. If I can get it in like the somewhat upper single digits, I'll be very happy. Have you covered Solana already? No, I haven't. We could go look at Solana really quick. Why not? Probably end the stream somewhat soonish as well. Where is my Sol? There it is. My Solderpa. Yeah, definitely on the weaker side compared to most of the other Kryptons we've seen today. You know, if Bitcoin gets a rally, you know, Solana should rally as well. I just don't think it's going to be as impressive as Bitcoin, or actually Ethereum's probably the better looking one. You know, maybe this thing pops up to like 160, 165 if Bitcoin gets going and, you know, puts in like a real bounce. But yeah. There's a pretty easy setup here on Solana. It's like I'm going to be biased towards a bounce. Again, you're coming off of the 5-day 200 simple right here. So I'd be biased towards a bounce, towards 160, maybe even 170. But not because it's guaranteed, but because there's a very obvious invalidation point, and that's just below the last 5-day low on a closing basis, or below the 200 simple. You're at 126. Below there on a 5-day closure, yeah, I'm bearish, and I'm looking for a move down to $100 or somewhere around $100, something like that. But yeah. Pippin is so hard to trade. Yeah, you're trading a literal illiquid shitcoin that has zero value and is more or less going to zero long term, but the trajectory of that is very variable, unfortunately. Dollar yen 3-month looks about to break out. Let's check it out. Okay. Haven't looked at this one in a while, I feel like. Yeah, I agree with you. To be honest, I think it's already broken out, but this is your first consolidation into a higher low, and then continuation on a big stressful move to the upside. So yeah, I do think it's going to head up to like the 170 plus region. But that might take, I don't know, it could take 3 to 6 months. It's going to take a long time, I imagine. But yeah, I agree with you. This is a reversal here. It is a reversal. You have a higher low and a higher high. And now you're above the 200 something. You're above all major moving averages for that matter. Yeah, I think that this thing wants to carry upwards and onwards. What does that mean for general markets? Who the hell knows? Probably not a good sign after a generational downtrend since the 1970s. Yeah. Anyways, what else we got over here? Injective. Oh God, fucking real shit coin. Yes, real trap shit. Real shit coin. Where it belongs. Where it belongs. Where it belongs. Yes, indeed. Fucking kill this one, man. Not kill you, obviously, but kill this as a chart. Just fucking put this things out of its misery. You might get one more rally up to like $7, but the general direction is down, man. This thing is going to very likely come down to the 2022 lows at $1.50 before ever going back above $16.50 ever again. I feel very, very confident on that. This is just a down only chart, man. It's fucking bad. It's fucking very, very bad. Very fucking bad. There's skeleton in there in the background laughing at you at how fucking bad this chart is. It's going down only, down some more. Quarterly is a fresh lower high in the continuation to the downside. You fucking boob. You fucking boob. You boob, 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 boob.
Monster kill.
We got him. Any other shit coins, huh? Gucci trades injective, yeah. You're missing the fundamentals. Yes, that's right. My fundamentals are going to make my Sumi coins go up as well. This one also looking absolutely fucking phenomenal, just going down only from here. Amazing, just fucking amazing. Oh my God, can you... It's bad. It's real fucking bad. It's real fucking bad.
Ludicrous kill.
Got him.
Killing spree.
Yep. 2 in a row, baby. Give me another one. Can we do CRV? Yeah, I bet it has rewards or something. My rewards. Oh, my rewards are going down. I'm getting all kinds of rewards, but they literally are worth $0. Amazing.
Killing spree.
Fuck 'em. RKLB, Rocket Lab. We looked at this one earlier this week. I forget what it looks like, though. Apparently up. Yeah, we marked off a higher low right here and up, so the LARP line's already going. Oh, nice. 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 Very nice.
Do you have money? Do you want even more money?
Then buy this Bitcoin. Amazing idea. Bitcoin dominance. Again, I just don't think Bitcoin dominance chart really matters. It's going to come down here. Is that going to be good for your shitcoin? Probably not. Probably not. Yeah, man. I do think it's going to come down here. I actually do think it's going to come down. But I just don't know if that really makes any... I don't really know if that means that altcoin's going to be going up significantly versus US dollar. I don't know. I guess if I'm kind of biased towards a Bitcoin bounce here, then maybe they do. Maybe they're going to bounce more than Bitcoin. I guess that's the implication, but we'll see. But yeah, I do think that this one does come to the downside. What happened to the singing siren ladies? Oh, need to add that one to my list. I forgot about them. Hold on. Hold on. Hold up. Okay. I can't be leaving the ladies outside of this one. Make a note. Screeching feminists. Yes, there we go. Gun stocks. Got any you're watching? No. Actually, what? I don't know. What would be a good gun stock? I don't know. I'm just gonna pick a random name. Smith and Wesson. Smith. Yeah, there we go. All right, let's see how it's doing. Not great. In my opinion, not a great investment. I mean, it's going up. I think it's going to go up. I just don't think it's a great investment. There's just better opportunities elsewhere. Crypto Shart says Tau on the daily Shart for relief bounce play. Oh yes, my relief bounces. I'm going to relieve my bounce. I'm going to relieve my money by trying to play a bounce, and then the bounce fades before I'm ready, and then it goes down only again. Amazing idea. Amazing fucking idea. Amazing fucking idea. Anyways, when I see this one, man, do I think that it's going to bounce? If it does bounce, I think that the bounce is limited, maybe like 335 to 340. Overall, this thing wants to come back down to the April lows of this year. I just don't think that these things are good, man. For whatever high that you put in October, I think that's going to be your swing high for a long time. That was a very important rejection. Don't like it, man. How can we try to play a two-way trade on the FOMC? I mean, I kind of laid it out at the beginning of this video, so you might want to go back there. I think the biggest fool position is to try to take a position before FOMC. The smartest and easiest way to play an FOMC move is to wait for the FOMC move to happen and then just take the easy trade on one of the peripheries. So you got two major areas here. You got about 99,000 bucks to the upside and you got about 80,000 bucks to the downside. If one of those two areas get hits, you have a big fucking scalp around those regions. So that's like the obvious trade, but fucking morons will try to take a position right here and guess which direction it's going to go. And what happens when you try to guess what direction it's going to go? Well, you don't know which fucking direction it's going to go, and you don't know where your risk management is. So you end up getting caught in a bad position, potentially, just guessing when you could have just waited for the move to happen and picked the easy position on the periphery of a higher term time frame range, and taken a scalp there. But if you want my sort of range or my resolution points, then it's at the beginning of this video. Basically, it's the December high versus the December low. Whichever one gets taken out first on a higher term time frame closing basis, like a 12-hour minimum, at that point, I'll just be looking in that direction. Personally, I'm biased towards an upside resolution, but today's event very likely will massively influence things and probably solidify the actual closure. So we shall see. We shall see indeed. And if not today, I would imagine tomorrow. Usually Thursday is the move where, or sorry, usually Thursday is the day where the move like really gets going and really kind of happens there. I should let you know we're probably going to shut off the stream in just a moment. Let me just see if there's any other comments I should get to. The COVID panic spike. Wow. Wait, what? Let's see. I just want Anduril. Yeah, I actually have tried to bid for Anduril in the private market because I actually do have a private investor account. It's very difficult to buy. It's very difficult to buy actually, or at least at a reasonable price. So I've kind of given up for now, but yeah. Anyways, what's up, Bear Nutrition? Good to see you, man. Good to fucking see you. Depends on Powell's statement afterwards. Yeah, exactly. So there are two parts of an FOMC meeting, and Zonkert is 100% right. The first one is the actual rate decision. That matters, but it's actually not as important as the conference that happens after the FOMC decision, in which they go over forwards projections and kind of future sort of comments. That's what really drives the market. So you get kind of two catalysts there. The first one can be a bit of a fake out in this, but the second one is usually, what direction we're actually going to be seeing. So yeah, good luck deciphering the Shadow Council's lizard ways, but that is, I guess, one way of kind of looking at it. Good call on Sats running up. Let's check it out. I haven't looked at this one since you last brought it up. I'm guessing we were talking about upside price action. And yes, indeed, I'm seeing some upside price action. I like it. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. Fuck yeah, man. We got some more upside price action. New all-time highs. I fucking love it, baby. There we go. Breakouts, breakout. Amazing. McDonald's House says, going full Gaylord here and going to ask for Lulu on the 12-hour. I can tell you else has been funding them recently. That's for sure. It's got to be I was going to say it's got to be a good chart, but it's not that. It's really not. You know, I do think it's going to rally from here. I do think that this will be a swing low, but the bias has to be on a lower high, somewhere around like 270 to 280, I think, or sorry, 270 to 290. So while I do think it's going to dig in here for a swing low, I do think that, you know, you're kind of in lower high territory somewhere around here. Yeah, overall, man, that does imply that, you know, we will probably see a rally here. You know, somewhere around here makes a lot of sense. Somewhere around there makes a lot of sense. Come back to it after that. But my sort of long-term view on this thing is, you know, this is a yearly top, man. This is a yearly top, and the continuation was this year in 2025. So yeah, if it bounces up somewhere in that zone that I was speculating on, I think that's going to be the high of your bounce, and you're going to see a big downside try at some point, probably late in 2026, if I had to guess. South Memphis, Tennessee. Fuck yeah, man. I love them, man. I fucking love them. All right, last one for Abs Ba. He says, hello, Crown and Elsa. What's up, man? Could you please take a look at ALCBP? ALCPB. Okay, it's a new one for me. I guess it's a Euro shitcoin. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck this thing is, man, but this is a really weird chart. I shouldn't have an opinion on this because it's literally a pump and dump. I don't know, man. You might get another one of these one-off pumps in the future, but generally I think it's going to be a downtrend. This kind of reminds me of like a random shitcoin. So yeah, maybe we can finish on a better one. Let's go with Monero for CR250. Monero is always interesting just because it's one of those weird ones that's been around for a long time and doesn't look like anything else really in terms of chart. Honestly, Monero I think is among the better picks here. You know, the monthly has already reconnected with the 5 EMA. You're at the prior highs more or less. I think that this thing is on the real verge of a potential breakout. Dare I say I like it. You know, I kind of like it here in a way. The problem is that you are at the point of maximum potential for a real rejection. So while I do think that this thing has a real potential to break out, if it rejects, it's going to be very nasty. But just like other things, there's a super, super, super obvious management point here to invalidate potential bullishness and validate, more importantly, a breakdown, another local high here and a real breakdown. And that's just using this month's low of 360. As long as you're above 360, okay, I think it's in a real position to break out to the upside and have a real breakout. Like I'm talking about new all-time highs upon new all-time highs. But if it does take out this month's low, I think you're in for a fucking disastrous pullback to like 275. So yeah, the risk and the reward are like pretty fucking high right there. But fair enough, you know. Anyways, I am going to end things on that note. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone joining in. A massive thank you to all of our moderators. We love everyone here. It's very beautiful, despite some of the more cantankerous comments. But that's all good, man. We're here for a good time and also a long time. That's right. We're here for a good time and a long time. We don't differentiate. Other than that, though, wishing you the best as always. We'll be back on tomorrow with another regular video analysis and then Friday with another live stream. Looks like I finally got all of my internet issues figured out. It's on to some fun soundboard activities. And other than that, take